Hi, everybody. This is Erica and Lena back again with another edition of Worldview 360. Thank you all for joining. I'm seeing everybody. Oh, there's a lot of people, which is great. We're a minute late because we got so carried away talking. I said, oh, wait, let me hit the button and go live. How are you, Lena?
I'm good, and it's all pointing towards the weekend and the demonic birthday
The demonic
and the abominations that are lined up for that day. It's hard to look past Sunday at the moment.
Well, we did have the pre-celebration at Madison Square Garden, which was a sight to behold. I think it's very interesting to watch the video of that. They're singing the song, whatever. There's some "God Bless America," whatever that. And he's standing there saluting. Why he's saluting, I don't know. He was never in the military. All he had to do is put his hand on his heart, like Obama. Okay, we'll leave that alone. And his granddaughter is behind him, smiling, cheesing, And then she realizes that it's booze, but he seems oblivious. And when he was asked afterwards, so what you think about your reception, both at the game and then after the game and before the game in the city, he said, well, it was very, it was something, I think he said enthusiastic or very loud.
And they were cheering me.
A lot of cheers. And I really believe, just like the emperor who has no clothes, I think he is capable in his mind of just seeing and hearing what he wants to see and hear. And damn it, those were cheers, but they were Bronx cheers. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah, really.
They were Bronx cheers, which for the rest
of I was so happy that the spoiled princess granddaughter got to witness it, because I think
she did. That's what,
John Jr.'s daughter, and I think she lives in New York.
She's a Floridian, and she's a golf. I think she's a golf phenom. Anyway, she's going to college and playing golf in college in Florida.
But I love that she got to witness it firsthand.
She looked. You could tell that he may not have known what time it was, but she certainly did. Now, again, she didn't ask to be born into that family, unless, maybe she did, but I don't know. But I'm glad somebody bore witness to that event. I was telling Lena before we went on that they're lighting incense outside of Madison Square Garden tonight.
Yes, they're saging it for the hoodoo that he calls them.
Exactly.
I love it.
So I think that's good and made the sage take effect. I don't know. So that was, and again, that was, people were very enthusiastic, not in his favor, but against him. I think that the party itself is just falling apart, which is great.
Isn't it delicious?
He's going to give
watching it crash.
Right. He's going to give the speech of all speeches. I don't know if he'll be standing for all of it. I don't think he can stand that long. I don't know if he can
stay awake that long.
Right. But that's on the menu. And then we have this Ferris wheel looking structure that he wants to be permanent, where the fighters are supposed to fight. Meanwhile, it's supposed to be really hot in DC, thunderstorms. And let me tell you, the humidity in DC in the summer is horrific.
And also they're under lights.
Yep.
Sorry about the dog, it'll stop in a minute. They're under lights, and they're also worried about insects, in terms of the actual fighters concerned. Right. But if storms are threatening, you wouldn't want to be in a metal cage, would you really?
Well, it could be a wild night.
I think it will. So yeah, I'm counting down the days to Sunday. I hope it's an abomination. We will see.
We'll see.
Excuse me. Susie. No barking.
Okay,
I'm back.
Lena,
People are just arriving. It'll stop in a minute.
Somebody wants to know, and I'm doing them a solid by asking you the question. I've got a question for Lena. Why does Lena refer to her listeners as opossums? Not that opossums aren't cute as a button. They are. I was just curious.
All right. It actually goes back to a famous Australian satirist who had a character called Dame Edna. So this was cross-dressing on television before it was a thing, from the 60s.
I've heard of
And the trademark of Dame Edna was "Hello, possums."
Yes.
And she famously, in drag, interviewed the royals and really attacked everybody under the guise of what she called the housewife superstar. So a very, very revered, now past Australian. So that's the possum story.
It's an Australian term of affection for your audience.
Yes.
Okay, good. Wait, somebody said proud possum here. Okay, that's good.
And Paula from Adelaide. Hi, Paula, all the way from Adelaide.
I want to say to this one viewer, Pat.Andrea. So this is not like when, we're not really soliciting questions, but I will address this question. We usually have a bunch of things that we want to talk about, and that's what we talk about. And you guys, get to listen in and comment, right? That's basically what this is. But anyway, the question is about Bari Weiss. And will she be able to turn around CNN as they're doing with Paramount, CBS? Can you look to see if the regime will completely take these networks? I don't think we're going to read on that question, but I will say that, everything has its season. And God knows that network television has had a long and storied and season. And I remember watching 60 Minutes when I was a little girl, because we watched 60 Minutes, and then I think there was Wild Kingdom or something, and then 60 Minutes, and then we had to go to bed. But so I remember it from being a child. So the thing is, the only constant is change, as the Buddhists tell us. Mm-hmm. And Bari Weiss has been brought in to destroy CBS. She has effectively done that. She will then go on and destroy CNN, and wherever else she is sent, she is the destroyer, just as the felon is the destroyer. Yes. And I think that sometimes when you try to hold on to something longer than its shelf life, you end up with a pile of, overripe.
Tainted crumbs.
Tainted crumbs, right. And so, please do look to independent citizen journalists who are doing yeoman's work across the social media space. They are all over the place. And some of them are familiar faces that you will know from network media, and they have migrated over. And I think that, I guess this is an era that has met its end. What do you think, Lena?
And I think it is the natural demise of network television was happening anyway, apart from Trump or anything else. Right. But it's accelerated it. And the upside is great independent journalism is coming out.
And so many more voices. I mean, I remember again, as a child, there were 3 channels that you could get the news on. ABC, NBC, CBS, and then PBS came along, public television came along. So that made it 4. But everybody, you took the whole country, everybody was watching one of 4 channels.
Exactly. And it's now a totally different world in that sense. So the old Walter Cronkites, and we had our Australian versions and stuff, doesn't happen anymore. So to a certain extent, we've got to let go. but it still doesn't let legacy media off the hook because they're allowing this poison in.
Right. Right.
And they're actually cutting their own throats with the Barry Whites of this scenario.
That's right. Exactly. So it is an ugly demise, but in order for something to exist, it has to cease being the thing that it used to be. And so what is emerging is really exciting, I think, really interesting, and way more participatory
Yes.
than ever was. So
yes.
I just wanted to address that question since we don't often do that. But apparently Kai Trump, the granddaughter, talked about the fact that there was, we'll call it, an aroma emanating from
from Grandpa.
Yes. So she's a teenager and she's going to say whatever she's going to say, and you know what? Good.
Yeah. And I hope the scales fall from her eyes.
Exactly. Disney's Wonderful World of Color in black and white. Yes, that's what I watched too. My brothers and I, we watched that 60 minutes and then we had to go to bed. All right.
Yeah.
So anyway, the birthday party, we have addressed it. I think it will be, I hope nobody tunes in to watch either the cage match or the speech or whatever he's going to do.
Exactly. And we'll all have access to the juicy parts of it retrospectively, thanks to people who are doing it. But yes, to not actually support it live.
Right. Don't support it live. We'll hear about it after the fact.
And now ringside seats next to the smelly felon are up to $1 million. Just
because what? Why would you pay for the insult to your olfactory?
I know. And see, this is where I think he's exhausted the elastic band.
Yeah.
Because, 5 years ago in the first term or whatever, he could have commanded that. And you know what? People would be queuing up for $1 million. I mean, of the millionaire class, obviously. Right. But they don't want it. The A-listers aren't going.
No, they're not. Well, the other thing was that somebody asked him last night, they said, to get tickets to this Knicks game, the tickets were just, I don't know, like in the thousands of dollars. And he said, well, I think that's fair. People can watch it on television. Not understanding that sports is a thing people like to go to and watch. Yeah. Like basketball and football and baseball and all that. And when these but he's just out of touch. He's out of touch. Speaking of out of touch, let's get back to what we wanted to talk about. So speaking of out of touch, the felon was asked about inflation. And he said, I love the inflation.
Why does I love the inflation. I know. I love the sentence.
I love the inflation. And then he went on to explain, it's a little bit of a non sequitur, but in his mind, it was absolutely flowed right from him saying, I love the inflation. He said, because we're going to have the war, which I thought the war was over, but okay.
Yeah.
We're going to have the war and it's going to end really fast. Okay. And at night, nobody knows this. This is like he's breaking the news. Nobody knows this, but at night, we have seized overnight 22 tankers, oil tankers. And so the price of oil is now going to be, or is now $85 a barrel. I don't know what the price is. I don't know whether that's good or bad or whatever. But the fact of the matter is, he loves inflation. He doesn't even understand what that means to the average person.
No, and he certainly doesn't care. And so it's perfect. These are the nails in the coffin. The other one was, I don't think about household economies, even a little bit. So he's starting to blurt in a way that is losing him people. His blurts were either grist to the mill and excited MAGA,
Right.
or they were bad and they ignored him.
Right.
Now they're really feeling it. These vicious, tart dismissals of working class suffering and middle class suffering are doing him damage.
They're doing him a lot of damage, and I think that's good. Something else that's doing him damage. I'm trying not to smile. Somebody's saying Aline Levin. She saw Ed Sullivan. She saw the Beatles on Ed Sullivan. You're dating Aline. So did I. We got to stay up late that night, and we did the twist. My brothers.
Yeah.
And we watched the Beatles on Ed Sullivan. Yes. So, but anyway, wait a minute. I'm trying not to smile, but okay. So the latest, I keep saying to people, no matter what he does to divert people's attention from the E-files, it's not going to work.
No.
I think Melania has left the building. I think Melania has left the country. I think Melania has found another gentleman on whose arm she is, resting, I suspect. I don't think we'll see her over the birthday holiday. But back to Epstein. There was a big article in the New York Times today, and the big news in it was that in 2025, which is only 6 months ago, so long ago, there were numerous, not one, not two, numerous meetings in the Situation Room, which is where all the big military decisions and everything are made, in the Situation Room about what to do with the E-files, given that the felon is woven through every page, not every paragraph of them. And at the meeting were, remember Bongino, who came out of podcasting and was the assistant at the FBI. He was there. Kash Patel, the head of the FBI at the time, was there. Bondi was there. So was her second, Todd Blanche, who is now going to be the head guy at the DOJ. Hegseth was there, and Vance and Susie Weil, who is leaving in a couple of months. So it was the seven of them. The felon was not there. And they were trying to hammer out how they should handle it. But the thing that's the most interesting is Vance, whom, the presidency is definitely shoes too big for him to fill.
Yeah.
Maybe not as we know the presidency now, but you know what I mean, generally speaking. And I think he's probably terrified, but I also think he really wants to be able to say, I was president for a minute.
Yeah.
So his opinion was that everything should just be admitted to, that the felon should come out and, do a press conference or make an announcement a la Melania, where you don't take any questions, but you stand at the podium and just say, I did it, and I'm glad I did it, and I would do it again, basically. Now, there were little specific details in the files that people spent considerable time talking about. One of them was the fact that apparently the felon has a predilection, was the word, for boobs. Boobs, that should be okay on YouTube, right? Boobs. A particular part of the boob. And I'm going to leave it like that. Okay.
Yeah.
And Vance said, I think that he should cop to that. People will understand. And he's been accused of worse than that. And Susie Weil shut him down and said, no, he would not like that out in the. But instead of deciding questions of war and peace or questions of economy or race, they're in the Situation Room getting paid by my tax dollars over and over and over again to discuss this. And the point is, they all are culpable because they all know how deeply enmeshed he is in those files. They all know.
Yes.
Room and sweep all of them out.
Exactly. And the lack of transparency, because there's always room for spin. So there's a good spattering of Democrats in there as well. They could, hide behind that or do something, but they have no clue how to deal with it.
None.
And they're just trying to exhaust the public interest in this topic.
Well, one good thing is Comey, who's a Republican and head of the committee, says this is a new thing for him. He says, I want Todd Blanche to come and talk to us under oath. So that's some progress. We'll see.
Yes. The problem is Congress has so benighted itself and got so limp.
That's true.
That it's not the scary space it was.
No.
So whether it's Kash Patel or any of them, including this, it doesn't have that fear factor. They perform for the audience of one, right, which is Trump.
Yeah.
And they don't answer questions.
But you know what? I feel like it is certainly, it's past time as far as I'm concerned, but I have to think that some of them must be starting to think that if they need to do a little bit of a cost-benefit analysis, if they expect to survive after he's gone, maybe the better part of valor is to say, let me come forward and say what I know. Because I wasn't in there.
Yeah, I think they are, Erica. My vibe is that they are repositioning themselves, both in the administration, but also in the House and the Senate and stuff, for a post-Trump world.
Speaking of the post-Trump world, I just want to say that I was horrified, but not surprised, as they say, to see Mike Johnson out of his mouth say that what they want to do after the midterms is go after Medicare and Social Security. Now, if that's not reason enough to be sure you vote Democrat in the fall, I don't know what is.
Yes.
They want to leave their mark, and they know if they don't do it now, it's not going to happen.
And let them do their worst. Horrifying as it is, they've got to show their colours, and people have to start connecting what falls out of their mouths with their lived experience. Because there's been this traditional disconnect. Policies are made and then people don't associate things that happen a year and a half from that or 5 years from that. So because we're in this compressed time frame, I really believe that things that would have played out over 5 years or 10 years are now being played out in a week. It's very, very accelerated. And if people can't wake up now, they will fall by the wayside.
Well, okay. And you know what? That being said, brings me to, again, the festivities coming up. We have the felon's birthday. We have Flag Day. I don't know what that exactly means, but anyway, Flag Day. And we have another No Kings protest.
Yes.
This one accompanied by a big concert with a lot of big names. And I think that's great. A good time will be had by all, I am sure. However, I feel like being so close to the 4th of July, the 250th anniversary or birthday of the nation, we couldn't come up with something a little better, like a general strike, like I say.
I know. But we can only hope that the musicians who are part of it and stuff aren't just going to do their favourite hits and hand it on to the next act. I hope it's a forum, a major forum for stuff to be said. And they can.
That it will be. I'm sure that, forum, right? There's forums. Well, the fora, is that the plural? I don't know. But here's the thing. It's one thing to say, I don't know, I'm so-and-so with my guitar, and Felon, I hope you have a terrible birthday and that it rains on the cage fighters, and then start playing. So you said something snide, and then you play your music and then move on.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It needs to be elevated to have maximum impact.
I agree.
Also, I'd like to ask the viewers too, how are they feeling about the 14th and the No Kings rally? I'm not getting a real vibe, but maybe it's because I'm here.
No, it's not because you're there. I'm in Southern California and I don't have a vibe. Now, what you mean by a vibe, of course, is you would think that there would be a building crescendo of
yes, a few days,
culminating in a, champagne cork of emotion on the day. And I mean, there's only one reason to, by the way, to pop the cork, and it's not because it's his birthday. So unless everything is very symmetrical and he lives exactly 80 years, if you get my drift, then we can pop. But until then, no. Yeah, I don't feel that there is any kind of building momentum in that way. And it's unfortunate because I mean, what is it doing? I don't get it. It's not doing anything.
Is it the same format? It's in every city and stuff, and that people will come out. So, yeah. Perhaps what I'm sort of looking for, and I could be wrong, they could have this plan, but I'm not seeing it and hearing it, is that's fine and appropriate, people wherever they are, that's important. But you need a national one at the same time that's pulling that energy together and making the requisite demands. What are the demands of the No Kings movement? And there were 3, I think, last time. But the problem is I don't even remember them.
Right.
And this is a thing about slogans.
That's right.
And I'll just digress for a moment to talk about slogans. So last year we, with a year's lead in, had a referendum for an Aboriginal voice in Parliament. Regardless of parties, there should be Aboriginal representatives in Parliament representing the Indigenous people. So, and it was called The Voice. It was all just about a voice. It shouldn't be that big a stretch.
Right.
But the Conservatives came out early on and their slogan was, if you don't know, vote no. Really clever. The first time I heard it, I thought this is death to the campaign, because most people don't know. They don't know anything about anything. So they were told then what to do. Do you see my point?
Yes.
If you don't know, that's okay. All you have to do is vote no.
Yes.
And why can't the left come up with some killer, or even the centre for that matter, some killer slogans?
I know.
I should be able to spend the rest of my life without forgetting whatever the slogans are for.
I agree.
It should be in our deep brains, in our
body.
body.
You can think about some of the slogans from the 60s. I mean, I can still remember those.
Make love, not war, whatever. Yeah.
Well, okay, I have somebody. Okay, I would like to address this, and Helen Wheels has a comment. Helen, I am not picking on you. I am acknowledging your comment because it is a sentiment that I hear a lot. But I do think it's something that, Lena, we should address. She says, it's a lot harder to have a general strike when people stand to lose their health insurance and health insurance for their children if they're fired for striking. That is absolutely correct. And every sword that can be held over our heads will be held over our heads. But I think if you're not willing to say, this is important enough for me to make my voice known, then you're making a choice. I get why. Nobody wants to lose their job. Nobody wants to lose their insurance. I don't think insurance should be tied to people's
of course it
justice.
shouldn't. It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, but it is meant to create a statement just like that. That's the whole thing. You're supposed to think, oh, this is great. I have insurance through my job. That's great. No, but what they don't want you to say is, but wait, if I lose the job, I won't have insurance. So I'd better not only keep the job, I better do in my private life even all of the things that they expect me to do. Because if I put a foot wrong, I will lose my job. And the thing is, if I lose my job, I lose my insurance. It's set up that way. Pluto in Aquarius, I think everything will shift. I think we're going to have to change the way that they do insurance. If Mighty Mike Johnson wants to go in there and tamper with Social Security and Medicare, watch the revolution that happens then. In other words, Helen, what are the circumstances which would cause you to say, okay, this wasn't enough, and this wasn't enough, and this wasn't enough, but damn it, this is enough. What is your line in the sand? And everyone's line is going to be different. And the saddest thing is, I think we all have to wait until we get close enough to everybody's line before something actually happens. I just watched the Netflix thing. It was Nicholas and Alexandra. And they were clueless about what was going on. But you could, I mean, if they had stepped out of the palace at all, they would have seen the momentum build and build and build and build to the point where even Nicholas handing over his crown, giving up his crown, it was too late. It was too late. And we could get to that point where...
And that, I think, is the upside, ultimately. By doing all this, it actually makes fertile ground for the progressives for radical change. If they just tinker around the edges, it lets centrism just become the alternative to the right.
That's right.
And the center is the fact there's a system like your job is tied to your healthcare. No other country in the world does that. And I understand the personal angst. Please trust me. I understand the personal thing, but that is why it was designed like that, because a scared workforce is a compliant workforce.
Right.
So if you're scared of losing your job, and in the case of America, your health insurance, that keeps people in line. And in the rest of the world where we don't have that tied together, just the fear of losing work means people do the extra hours or don't ask for the raise or, you know, do the tap dance for the bosses.
Right.
And so basically people have been enculturated. This didn't come out of nowhere for decades and decades and decades to vote for the bosses. And the idea was, oh, you'll get a trickle, right? And the fact people agreed to that 40 years ago is horrifying, and still 30 years ago and still 20 years ago. I'm talking about Australia too. Yeah. We went from being what was called the workers' paradise. We had really huge labour movement, excellent wages, excellent conditions, strong unions, all of that. And it got beaten down by the ruling class.
Right. And
then that has other knock-on effects, because when you're struggling and feel unempowered or disempowered, when you feel disempowered, you resent other people who appear to be doing all right or better. And so it makes a less tolerant society.
Right. And what you don't do is you don't resent the people at the top, because you tell yourself
you're causing
you'll be one.
It goes lateral. It's lateral violence.
It's lateral. Absolutely. So Helen, I would ask you to ask yourself and ask your neighbors to ask themselves, what is your particular line in the sand? What will you say, beyond this I can't go? Because you haven't reached it yet.
Right. And I think there's still time, in the sense that, I mean, I'd say two things. One is, why not lie to the boss? I'm sorry, I'm sick. I can't come in.
Yeah, cough ahead, day ahead. Just, yeah.
Two, you go to work. I mean, there isn't even a general strike to go to or avoid. So, but let's just assume it was on the table. 6 months from now, and after the midterms and after Christmas, maybe that's a reflective thing. This is why healthcare needs to be decoupled from employment.
Right.
I was so scared of a general strike that I couldn't comply. That's not a good way to have to go to bed at night.
Right.
Being afraid of being deprived of basic healthcare. So it is a rotten model. But the problem is, even when you're in a rotten model, or especially when you're in a rotten model, you just grab what you can. This whole idea of crumbs and trickles, right?
And you know what? Here we are on the eve of our 250th birthday, and I keep thinking the words, among these inalienable rights are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. At what point, Helen, and I mean, when I say Helen, I mean all of us, I mean each of us, at what point are we going to say, you know what, I don't feel happy, free. Is this my life? And what needs to change? I think that they think you're just going to get hypnotized by the beautiful words, which we will hear over and over during this, this next month, and not stop and say, am I free?
Exactly. And with all the stuff that this might seem a tangent, but it isn't, with all this stuff with the World Cup, which is going to be an abject disaster that will be remembered for 100 years as the worst World Cup ever. The point is taking ICE agents to all the stadiums. So you've got stadium staff, many of whom are people of colour,
right,
who are saying, I'm terrified to go
right,
in case I'm picked up. That's not life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
No.
No. They're prepared to work 16 hours on their feet, standing up for a very poor wage, but then you've got the fear of incarceration as well. This is not a free country. People have to stop this illusion that America is a bastion of freedom.
It's not. It never was. It never was, is the thing. Speaking of bastions of freedom, I want to bring up again what we, I think, mentioned last week, which is Albania. And, these countries like Albania and South Korea, which I've been to a couple of times. I quite like South Korea. But Albania, South Korea, I don't know, name some other ones. But I don't know, who show us what it means to have a stand that is just untenable, a government stand that is untenable.
Yes, Bulgaria got rid of a 20-year despot because they were out on the streets every day and every night.
Exactly. So I think, first of all, you've all by now probably seen the video of Ivanka and the Lego version. I don't know if you've seen the Lego version.
Oh, no, I haven't. I'll have to check it out.
It's really fun. It's really good. But, she's like an AI person. She doesn't look real.
Yeah.
I guess it's a filter on the camera or something, like a gauze thing. But anyway, about how they were on this yacht. They have a friend with a yacht. Okay, so she wants us to know that,
Yeah.
And we saw this island and we swam to it and then we hiked barefoot. What do you mean you hike barefoot?
I know the story is hilarious, isn't it?
Hiked barefoot. Well, no, we discovered. How Columbus can you get? How Christopher Columbus?
I know. Like it didn't exist the day before they sailed there.
You discovered it. And mind you, this project has been in the works for years, by the way, right? So Albania, which is a very, very poor country, they very poor. They really are looking to, come up in the world and be a peer with other EU countries. So the guy makes the deal. And all of Albania says, not so fast. So the prime minister says, well, that at the height, we had 8,000 people out. Now it's down to 2,000. That's not true.
No, it's so not true.
It's saying a 20th century thing in a 21st century world where we can see with our eyes all of the people.
Exactly. And for them, the flamingo revolution, for the Albanians on the street, it's two-pronged. One is the sheer offensiveness of the Kushner-Trump project, but also the corruption in their own government where the prime minister sold their island. Okay. So for them, it's both those things. And the EU, they're trying to get into the EU. Albania is the poorest country in Europe. So to join the EU, you have to comply with certain, governance requirements. And so the EU is supporting the protesters, saying you won't be able to join the EU in a few years if you have such a blatantly corrupt government as would sell an island.
That's right.
Okay. So that they've actually, you see what I mean? They're actually giving people validity to go forward.
It's so good. And so now the latest thing he says is, and apparently the everything's been frozen, like all of the money. The money, by the way, is Saudi money. It's not even Saudi money. And so everything's been frozen. And so now the prime minister says, oh, well, we're going to just let things calm down, which doesn't mean that we're not going to do it. We're going to do it. We're just going to wait for everything to calm down. I think we need to keep our eyes on Albania. I think we need to send them all of the good energy.
Exactly.
And we need to do our part to show them that we're taking a leaf out of their book, because we're seeing how strong and powerful they're being, as South Korea was, as Bulgaria was. And hopefully that government will be broken.
Yes, I think it's a distinct possibility, which is where we come back to the global.
Apparently I heard it cannot be undone. And I don't know. I think it's because of all of the behind the scenes, who paid what and who owes what. It can't be undone. But there's nothing done that can't be undone.
No, exactly my point I was just about to make. It had to have been done corruptly, because countries don't just sell islands willy-nilly.
No.
We all know that it has happened. The wealthy have had private islands for years. Princess Margaret had Mystique and all of that. But they are fundamentally, by definition, illegal deals. So I think it's going to raise the stakes on all that. My feeling on an Albania, even if it legally goes ahead, sabotage. The project will be literally sabotaged.
Absolutely.
And we mustn't forget, Kushner just tried all this. He was 5 years in Serbia, making another resort, and it got quashed. It took 5 years, but it didn't go ahead at the end of the day.
Well, he's still holding out for Palestine.
Yes, horrendous as that is, that's exactly what he's holding out for. But the world won't tolerate that, surely, too. So I think we're reaching the end of that. If I'm rich enough, I can buy it.
Well, let's talk about that.
I can buy property. I can buy power.
You wanted to talk about greed. Let's talk about that.
Oh, let's talk about greed. Well, let's take a leaf out of Mary Trump's book, or in fact the front cover. It was such a good title that I think it was the first book. Too much and never enough. And it is this insatiable greed that's the problem. It's one thing to be aspirational and wanting to be financially comfortable. We're not talking in those terms.
Right.
We're talking with the Palantirs, the Peter Thiels, the Musk. It wouldn't matter how much money you gave them, they would still pay their workers an absolute pittance. Jeff Bezos, special place in hell for Jeff Bezos and Amazon. But they're all equally awful. No, they need to, I think, be held accountable and talked about in terms of the G word. Talk about them being vacuous and greedy. The language has to change. Instead of them being smart and hardworking, he's a billionaire, he must be those other things. No, we've got to change the job description for billionaires.
Right.
Shallow and greedy.
Right. Right. Well, we're getting examples all over the place, which is great. It's not just one silo. You're seeing it coming from all different angles. I do want to mention, at the risk of opening another can of worms, there was a can of worms open on this channel when I talked the other day about the Mormons. And I was reading cards on it, and what I saw was that even though Hegseth had taken away the designation of Christian from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, aka the Mormons, they were now relegated to other. So, with some of the other religions, but were not considered Christian. They threw a fit. I pulled cards on it, and I saw that they were not going to be able to put them on that list, back on that Christian list fast enough. So sure enough, they are back where they feel they belong amongst the Christian religions. And it's because the Mormon church is massively, massively wealthy, massively, massively conservative,
and organized.
And organized and racist, but we'll let that go for
well, hopefully not, but yes. It's skipped over.
Yeah, but they're Christian. So I think that's interesting, but why? I mean, why were they taken off the list in the first place? If Hegseth and his committee or whoever decided it did it for a philosophical reason, which is the fact that Mormonism's tenets bear very little resemblance to anything in either Catholicism or Protestantism. It's their own thing. That's worth a discussion. That's worth a conversation.
And yes, and I think that's because Hegseth is the ultimate representation of the white nationalist movement, which is very, very narrow in who they see as their own allies, even.
But I mean, he's not paying attention because the Mormons are their natural allies.
Exactly. That's my point, is they don't even recognize that because he's so ill-informed.
Yeah.
Essentially, he's an ignorant man, and it shows. So he would just go, oh, I think they're wackos or something. He's not. See, none of them actually are political strategists.
No.
They've had political success by being bulldozers, and they've misunderstood that as political savvy.
Yep.
And none of them actually have political savvy because
which is very scary.
Really stupid politically.
Right. They're stupid. They make stupid moves, and then they have to try to clean them up, like starting a war in Iran when you had no way of getting out of it. But also like redesignating the Mormons and not expecting a big backlash. Well, that lasted not even 24 hours. So they're back.
I hope the Mormons don't forget. I hope they pull out of the voting for Conservatives just at least for one election cycle because of it or something.
I doubt they will.
You don't think so?
No.
Anyone who's immersed in the Mormon community, let us know what you think.
Yes, because I did have people who were Mormons or former Mormons, etc., and there was quite a bit of differences of opinion as to whether or not they're actually Christian and what Hegseth did, etc. But mean, it's an interesting conversation. And again, why did they so quickly reinstate them? I mean, look, Black people could say, why is he removing all of the Black soldiers of valor, distinction from the, do you think that would do us any damn good whatsoever? Absolutely not. The only reason he acted like this on the Mormons is greed, money, and power.
Yes. And the point is, what is the source? And it's like money to these people is a drug, all drugs aside, and they can't get enough of the drug.
Nope.
So it's like it's absolutely destroying them from the inside out as people. You end up with absolute abject, hollowed out personas like Peter Thiel and Elon Musk, who are not even three-dimensional people.
No.
We're not talking right wing. They are flawed, shallow beings, And greed becomes a goal in itself. Competitive greediness. I can be greedier than you. I can be richer than you. What? It's such to me, I don't get it. I just don't get it as a goal.
Oh, this is interesting. My daughters work for a school, and they both have opted out of the insurance because the rates are too high to afford. This is in Texas.
But your boss shouldn't be responsible. And God knows I slam bosses a lot, particularly big employers. I'm not talking about people who have small businesses.
Right.
I'm not a supporter of the boss class, but I've never understood why your employer should be responsible for your health care. There should be no connection. And this is what...
You know what it reminds me of? I don't know if you were familiar with the term, the company store, company.
Yes.
Company. So I think it's like that. Like you work for a company and then you get your wage and then you have to buy groceries and other stuff. So you go to the company store, which is right there. So it's very convenient.
And sells everything you need.
It sells everything you need. So you're essentially giving them back the money that they gave to you for your labor. Well, it's the same thing with insurance. It's all a big racket. And none of it is meant to, but I mean, again, under the auspices of, isn't it convenient that we have the company store?
Yeah. How good is that? And won't you love this job, even though you're not paid well because you get insurance?
Right.
And this comes back to the problem is people think you need a businessman to run a government. And no, governments are not and should not be businesses. And this is a fundamental disconnect.
Wait a minute. California got it right. Listen, there is something to celebrate. It is not worth popping that champagne in my refrigerator because I know what that's waiting for. But I love the fact that now I forgot the guy's name. See, I'm having a senior moment. Tom Steyer came in third. He couldn't even get second. He couldn't even get one of the two slots.
And he threw a lot of money around.
All that money. And you know what? I don't know. I saw the Jane Fonda because I heard the commercial. Jane Fonda supported him. I heard that she was paid for her endorsement, which is awful. But anyway, again, Jane Fonda, who's been on the right side of a lot of things, in my personal opinion, I have that question for her. If he's a billionaire, how is he a progressive? Makes no sense. And I love the fact that Californians said, no matter how many billions you spent on this election, we're not for sale. So I'm
because it's that whole thing for profit.
They think
the government.
They're sure that he would be good for our economy since he's good for his own personal economy. That's that Reagan trickle-down thing. It never works.
And it's the Doge thing, what do you call it? We're both having senior moments, chainsaws.
That's okay, we're seniors.
We have to call it the senior session. But yes, because they don't get public good, therefore any public outpourings or money are seen as a waste of money, not
Right.
supporting people, keeping the society together, providing the cohesion so it can be a functioning society. None of that's valued.
No.
It's just about the bottom line.
Well,
And that's why business people shouldn't be allowed in government, let alone running it.
Exactly. And then you've got Mike Johnson talking about entitlement programs. Now, that word entitlement is a tricky word because
it's
it really
a two-edged word.
Yeah, two different meanings. On the one hand, we are entitled to these benefits because we have earned them.
Yes.
But the other meaning is, oh, you think we owe you that just because you're
put down.
Yeah. And I think that's how they mean the word entitlement.
Yes.
But I listen. I was thrilled about Steyer. That was just a little pebble.
Yes.
In the water. But
and I'm sure he's not the worst of the worst, right?
Well, he's
like I don't think he's like Peter Thiel.
No, he's not. He's not.
Like that. But it's really good that he got slapped back saying, "I'm sorry, you can't buy my vote."
He did invest in private prisons, and then said, "Oh, oops, I shouldn't have done that." Well, no, you shouldn't.
You shouldn't. Well, at least he pulled back from that because that's a crystal clear illustration of business versus what a government should do.
Yes.
There should be no profit to be made in prisons,
right,
schools, or hospitals.
Right. Speaking of,
they should not have to generate profit.
But they are, and I just want to give a mention to these huge private prisons, the one in Delaney, there's one in the South. There are 500 babies that have been in ICE custody since this felon took over. 500. I mean, you're born into that, and then your childhood is in that. How do you think that affects their psychological development? I mean, there's not toys in there and books to read and food that is decent to eat. It is just an obscenity. It's an obscenity. I don't know why we're not in the streets over that. I truly do not.
But I think it's going the 250th. I know we're out of time, just about to.
Yeah, 2 minutes.
It's going to really be hard for the nation state of the United States to make this shiny, because the problem with Trump and everyone else emulating his awful behavior, they can't stop for half an hour or an hour to pretend even to be inclusive.
No.
I am now addressing all Americans. We've come to this point in history and we're all in this together. And then afterwards go back. No, he can't do it.
He can't do it. Well, you saw how Hegseth was in France on D-Day.
Shocking. And he's been literally declared persona non grata.
As he should be. As he should be.
Yeah. It was disgusting and insulting and puerile and divisive. Wasn't a good speech.
All of the things that you and I and our viewers are not. So
yes.
We want to end on an up note. Next week we will be able to debrief about the birthday party bust.
I know, and the claw, if the claw is still going to be up there.
Yeah, exactly. I can just see him sitting there lumbering with his party hat askew, tilted,
asleep.
Asleep.
He's not going to stay awake for the whole day.
Well, maybe
he'll take different party recreationals. I don't know.
All right, everybody. You know where to find Lena. She's Lena Down Under here on YouTube, and I'm here. And we will be doing we didn't pull cards on anything this week.
No, it flew by.
So maybe next week we will. But thank you all for being with us, and
thank you so much
for this weekend. And hold your breath, hold your nose, whatever you have to hold.
Yeah.
And we'll be back next week. So take care.
All the best, everybody.